The Enigma of the Alchemist. In the twilight of medieval Europe, in the quiet, mist-wreathed town of Lavenford nestled among rolling hills and ancient forests, a singular destiny stirred in the heart of a modest workshop. Here, in a building of weathered stone and timber beams, the art of alchemy was preserved as both craft and mystery. Among its inhabitants was a young apprentice named Edmund, whose curious mind and unquenchable desire for knowledge set him apart from his peers. Trained under the stern but wise Master Alaric, a man whose very presence evoked legends of transformation and hidden wisdom, Edmund had long labored over potions, transmutations, and the arcane secrets of nature. Yet nothing could have prepared him for the day he discovered a manuscript so enigmatic that its very existence would blur the line between science and magic. One rainy afternoon, as the dull patter of droplets merged with the creaks of ancient wood and the low murmur of whispered incantations, Edmund found himself tidying a neglected storeroom behind the workshop. Amidst dusty alembics, tarnished crucibles, and relics of forgotten experiments, his hand brushed against a loose stone in the wall. With trembling fingers, he pried it away to reveal a hidden compartment. Inside lay a leather-bound codex, its cover embossed with intricate symbols that mingled medieval calligraphy with strange, futuristic motifs. The manuscript's pages, yellowed with age yet inscribed with ink that still glimmered as though charged by a mysterious energy, beckoned him with the promise of secrets beyond mortal ken. Edmund carried the manuscript to the solitude of his small chamber. Under the flicker of a guttering candle, he began to study the cryptic text. The writing, an odd mixture of Latin, archaic symbols, and abstract diagrams, spoke of an elixir of legendary power. This elixir was described not merely as a potion to grant longevity or enlightenment, but as a substance capable of altering the very fabric of time and reality. Within its formulas, the manuscript wove together the ancient principles of alchemy with strange allusions to phenomena that resonated with what, in some distant future, might be recognized as the principles of quantum physics. The formulas described not only the transmutation of base metals into gold but hinted at the possibility of transmuting the self, of bridging the gap between mortal existence and a state of sublime understanding, a merging of matter, energy, and the hidden dimensions of time. Obsessed by the possibilities, Edmund dedicated himself to deciphering the manuscript's riddles. He spent long hours poring over its contents, mixing ingredients with meticulous care in his modest laboratory. His experiments, conducted with a blend of traditional alchemical apparatus and subtle innovations he dared to imagine, began to yield results that defied the conventional teachings of his master. Potions that shimmered with an unearthly light, powders that seemed to hum with latent energy, and vapors that danced with spectral colors emerged from his crucibles. Each experiment revealed a facet of the manuscript's enigma, and with every trial, Edmund felt himself pulled deeper into a vortex of logic and madness, a world where the old wisdom of alchemy intertwined with hints of futuristic science. As days turned into nights and nights into a haze of feverish work, Edmund noticed peculiar phenomena that accompanied his experiments. In the quiet moments when he was alone with his thoughts, he began to perceive fleeting visions, a flash of a cityscape shimmering with neon brilliance, sounds of distant machinery humming with a precision foreign to his medieval world, and the sensation of being touched by forces that seemed to exist beyond time itself. These visions were not mere dreams but seemed to be imprinted upon the very ether around him, as if the manuscript had awakened latent pathways that connected his humble laboratory to distant epochs and dimensions. At times, he saw glimpses of himself, older and wiser, walking through corridors of light that defied mortal architecture. At others, he observed strange figures garbed in attire that was neither wholly medieval nor entirely modern, moving with deliberate purpose through landscapes that blurred the boundaries of eras. The convergence of these phenomena with his alchemical experiments led Edmund to a startling realization. The manuscript was not the work of any ordinary alchemist of his own time, but rather the legacy of a secret order whose reach extended across the ages. There was evidence, scattered in the margins of the text and hinted at in the cryptic diagrams, of a conspiracy that transcended time. A network of individuals who guarded forbidden knowledge and sought to shape the destiny of humanity by manipulating the very nature of reality. The formulas, it appeared, were not meant solely for the transmutation of matter, but were instructions for harnessing a power that could, if misused, tear apart the fabric of time itself. Edmund began to understand that his quest to recreate the legendary elixir was as much a journey of self-discovery as it was a battle against forces both seen and unseen. A battle in which the boundaries between science and magic, past and future, would become irreversibly blurred. Compelled by an urgency he could scarcely comprehend, Edmund set about recreating the elixir using the manuscript's detailed instructions. The process was excruciatingly delicate, a symphony of precise measurements, rare ingredients, and alchemical rituals that required an almost divine synchrony of mind and matter. He procured exotic substances, some of which seemed to exist only in myth. Powdered meteorite, dew collected at the break of dawn from the petals of night-blooming roses, and fragments of crystal that refracted light in impossible spectrums. With each ingredient he combined, he sensed that he was not merely mixing components in a crucible, but orchestrating a transformation that resonated with the heartbeat of the cosmos. The laboratory, once a quiet retreat for mundane experiments, transformed into a sanctum of transcendent energy. Shadows danced on the stone walls as the candlelight mingled with the eerie luminescence of the concoctions. Instruments of brass and glass, relics of ancient alchemical tradition, vibrated with a subtle modern pulse, a pulse that Edmund, in his fevered state, recognized as the echo of a technology far beyond the medieval age. He could not help but wonder if the manuscript's creator had been a traveler from another time, someone who had seen both the grandeur of the past and the promise of the future, and had left behind clues to a destiny that spanned centuries. As the final phase of the elixir's preparation approached, the air in the workshop seemed to thicken with anticipation. Edmund combined the last of the ingredients in a ceremonial vessel, an ornate chalice wrought of silver filigree and etched with symbols that pulsed faintly as if alive. He recited the incantations inscribed in the manuscript, a litany of words whose cadence echoed like an incantation from a realm beyond mortal comprehension. At the precise moment dictated by the ancient diagrams, he allowed the mixture to simmer over a flame kindled with a strange, otherworldly fuel, a substance he had synthesized through his own experiments that defied the natural properties of fire and water. In that moment, as the elixir reached its apotheosis, the laboratory was bathed in a blinding light. The very boundaries of space and time seemed to tremble as the liquid in the chalice shimmered with hues of iridescent blue, violet, and gold. Edmund's heart pounded in his chest as he watched the phenomenon unfold, a spectacle that transcended the rational and bordered on the divine. The elixir appeared to pulsate, its glow expanding outward in concentric ripples that distorted the familiar contours of the room. For a brief, interminable instant, Edmund felt as though he were suspended in a state beyond time, where the past, present, and future converged into a single, ecstatic moment of clarity. When the light finally receded, the elixir remained in the chalice, a radiant, still liquid that exuded both promise and foreboding. In the silent aftermath, as the candle flames steadied and the murmurs of unseen energies subsided, Edmund sensed that he had breached a threshold. The elixir, it seemed, was not simply a potion of transformation, but a key to unlocking secrets that defied the confines of his world. Yet with this revelation came a shattering realization. Forces far greater than he had ever imagined were at work, and he was now entangled in a conspiracy whose ramifications reached across the span of time. In the days that followed, as Edmund continued to study the elixir and its inexplicable properties, strange events began to manifest around him. At first, they were subtle anomalies. A clock in the workshop that ticked in reverse for a few agonizing seconds, shadows that moved independently of their sources, and reflections in the window that hinted at scenes from another age. As time passed, these phenomena grew in intensity. At times, the elixir itself would emit soft pulses of light, as though communicating in a language beyond words. On one such occasion, while Edmund was lost in contemplation, the chalice began to levitate, suspended in midair by an invisible force. The room filled with an ethereal hum, and he experienced a sensation of weightlessness that defied the natural order. In these moments, Edmund questioned whether he had unwittingly opened a portal to realms where the laws of physics were rewritten, where the ancient art of alchemy and the emerging principles of quantum mechanics coexisted in a cosmic dance. Haunted by these visions and the palpable presence of an unseen observer, Edmund's thoughts turned to the possibility that he was not the only one who knew of the manuscript's existence. Whispers reached him in the dark corridors of the monastery where his master resided, hints of a clandestine society that had guarded alchemical secrets for generations. This secret order, whose origins were as murky as the manuscripts they concealed, was rumored to have transcended the limitations of their age by incorporating knowledge from the distant future. Their objective was not merely the pursuit of wealth or eternal life, but the stewardship of a power that could alter history itself. Edmund realized that his discovery of the manuscript and the subsequent creation of the elixir might have drawn the attention of these guardians of forbidden knowledge, a network of minds whose influence spanned not only the present but the past and the future. In the solitude of his workshop, amid the flickering candlelight and the soft, ever-present hum of the elixir's residual energy, Edmund resolved to uncover the truth behind the manuscript. With a heart both emboldened by scientific curiosity and weighed down by the gravity of his newfound responsibility, he began to piece together the scattered clues contained within the text. Every symbol, every formula, every carefully drawn diagram seemed to hint at a larger, more intricate design. A design that integrated the metaphysical wisdom of ancient alchemists with principles that resonated with a science yet to be born. The manuscript alluded to phenomena that could only be described as quantum in nature. The superposition of states, the entanglement of particles across unfathomable distances, and the possibility that observation itself could alter reality. To Edmund, these ideas were both terrifying and exhilarating. They challenged the very foundations of medieval understanding while offering a tantalizing glimpse of a future where the mysteries of nature were laid bare. Driven by this revelation, Edmund embarked on a series of experiments that stretched the boundaries of his training. He meticulously documented his observations in a journal, noting how the elixir's glow varied with the phases of the moon, how its temperature oscillated in patterns that defied simple explanation, and how, on occasion, it seemed to respond to his very thoughts. In one such experiment, as he concentrated on an image of a distant, futuristic city, a vision that had invaded his dreams, he noticed the liquid beginning to shimmer with a pattern that resembled the skyline of a metropolis lit by neon brilliance. The sight filled him with both awe and dread, for it suggested that the elixir was not confined to the realm of the immediate, but had the power to bridge the gulf between epochs. Edmund began to suspect that the manuscript was a gift, or perhaps a warning, left by a traveler from a future where the boundaries of time had long since dissolved. As his experiments grew bolder, Edmund became increasingly aware that he was being watched. In the quiet hours of the night, when the wind whispered through the narrow streets of Lavenford and the stars winked with secrets, he he sensed a presence lurking just beyond the edge of perception. There were moments when he caught a fleeting glimpse of a hooded figure on a distant hill, or saw a silhouette moving silently along the battlements of the old abbey. Though he could not be certain of the figure's identity, the recurring sensation of being observed filled him with a sense of both foreboding and purpose. It was as though the very fabric of time were under surveillance by forces that guarded the continuum, ensuring that the delicate balance between science and magic remained unbroken. In a decisive moment that would forever alter the course of his life, Edmund resolved to harness the elixir's power to delve deeper into the mystery of the manuscript. On a night when the heavens were cloaked in swirling clouds and the moon's silver light barely penetrated the darkness, he prepared a ritual designed to unlock the latent energies within the elixir. He arranged his alchemical instruments in a precise geometric pattern, their ancient forms juxtaposed with subtle innovations he had introduced. A small, crystal prism capable of splitting light into its spectral components, a delicate coil of wire fashioned from a metal unknown to his era, and a series of mirrors positioned to reflect the ambient light in exacting angles. With the manuscript open before him, its cryptic symbols illuminated by the flickering flame, Edmund poured the elixir into a circular basin of polished stone. As he recited the incantations written in the manuscript, an incantation that resonated with a rhythm akin to the pulse of a distant, cosmic engine, the elixir began to react. Its glow intensified, filling the chamber with a brilliance that transcended mortal comprehension. The geometric arrangement of instruments vibrated in unison, as if responding to an unseen conductor, and the air around him grew thick with a palpable energy that seemed to warp space itself. In that transcendent moment, Edmund felt the boundaries between the present and all that lay beyond begin to dissolve. The very act of observation, the intense focus of his mind, and the precise alignment of ancient and modern technology triggered a cascade of events that rippled through the continuum. For a few long, suspended minutes, time itself appeared to fracture. In the midst of the radiant luminescence, Edmund experienced visions that defied explanation. Images of distant futures where towering structures of glass and steel reached into a sky filled with hovering vessels. Echoes of past ages where knights in shining armor rode through battlefields shrouded in mist, and abstract, impossible geometries that pulsed with a life of their own. In these visions, the elixir was more than a substance. It was a conduit, a portal through which the secrets of the universe could be glimpsed. The boundaries between science and magic, logic and madness, disintegrated into a swirling maelstrom of possibility. When the light finally receded and the instruments fell silent, Edmund was left trembling in the aftermath of a revelation that challenged every precept he had ever known. The elixir, now a softly pulsing orb of luminescence, seemed to have imparted to him a vision of a hidden order, a secret conspiracy of time itself. He realized that the manuscript had been crafted not merely to teach the art of alchemy, but to serve as a beacon for those destined to safeguard the continuum. The cryptic formulas and diagrams were instructions for a journey, a quest that spanned centuries and defied the limitations of human understanding. In that moment, Edmund understood that he was no longer just an apprentice in a dusty workshop. He had become a custodian of a power that could shape the destiny of worlds. In the days and weeks that followed, Edmund's life became an intricate tapestry of discovery, danger, and transformation. He meticulously recorded every detail of his experiments, every strange occurrence, and every vision that haunted his dreams. His journal, filled with sketches of futuristic cities, diagrams of quantum phenomena rendered in medieval script, and reflections on the nature of time, became a testament to his journey into realms where science and magic intertwined. Though Master Alaric remained largely unaware of the full extent of Edmund's discoveries, subtle changes in the workshop, the inexplicable alignment of instruments, the soft humming of contraptions once thought inert, suggested that an unseen force was at work. As word of his experiments began to leak beyond the confines of Lavenford, shadows from the secret order emerged from the darkness. In whispered conversations in crowded taverns and furtive glances exchanged in candlelit corridors, rumors spread of a young alchemist whose work threatened to unmoor the delicate balance between mortal understanding and the cosmic order. Mysterious figures cloaked in dark robes, their faces obscured by hoods, were seen watching from a distance. Though their identities remained shrouded in secrecy, their presence confirmed Edmund's growing suspicion that he was being drawn into a conspiracy that spanned not only his own time but the entirety of the continuum. Despite the mounting pressure and the sense of encroaching peril, Edmund pressed onward with a determination born of both scientific curiosity and a profound recognition of his destiny. He refined the elixir further, seeking to stabilize its temporal properties so that it might be used as a tool, a beacon to probe the very fabric of time. Late at night, beneath a vault of stars that seemed to whisper ancient secrets, he conducted experiments that merged the meticulous precision of alchemical rituals with daring innovations that hinted at technologies yet to be conceived. In one such experiment, he arranged a series of reflective surfaces around the chalice containing the elixir and observed as the light refracted into fractal patterns that danced upon the walls like the intricate designs of a cosmic mosaic. In the interplay of shadow and light, he saw not only the beauty of the universe, but also the hidden mechanisms that governed its evolution. Over time, Edmund began to suspect that the manuscript was more than a relic of forgotten lore. It was a message, a deliberate communication from a traveler or a collective of travelers who had mastered the art of transcending time. The formulas hinted at principles that, while alien to medieval thought, resonated with a logic that could be discerned through careful study. In his solitary hours, he pondered the possibility that these future pioneers had left behind a guide for those who were ready to perceive the interconnectedness of all things. A guide that bridged the ancient mysteries of alchemy with the modern understanding of quantum reality. As the seasons changed and the cold grip of winter yielded to the tentative warmth of spring, Edmund reached a pivotal juncture in his journey. The elixir, now refined to a crystalline clarity, pulsed with a steady, rhythmic glow. In its light, he discerned patterns that hinted at a temporal map, a configuration of energies that spanned the dimensions of past, present, and future. With a sense of solemn purpose, he began to chart these patterns, transcribing their intricate geometry onto parchment with painstaking care. Each curve and angle, each interlaced symbol, became a part of a greater diagram that he believed could serve as a key to unlocking the hidden pathways of time. In a moment of quiet revelation, while poring over his notes by the light of a solitary candle, Edmund experienced a sudden shift in perception. The boundaries of his small workshop seemed to dissolve, replaced by a vision of endless corridors of light and shadow, a labyrinthine network of temporal pathways that stretched into infinity. Within this vision, he saw himself, older and wiser, standing at a crossroads where the threads of fate converged. He understood, with an almost overwhelming clarity, that his quest was not solely for the elixir or the secrets contained within the manuscript, but for the truth of existence itself. The journey was a call to awaken to a reality in which the separation between science and magic, between past and future, was nothing more than an illusion, a veil to be lifted by those courageous enough to peer behind it. The realization filled Edmund with both awe and trepidation. He now saw that the secret order, the guardians of time, had long been at work, guiding the evolution of knowledge through clandestine interventions. Their influence was woven into the very fabric of history, their symbols hidden in plain sight among the manuscripts of ancient scholars and the faint echoes of modern theories. In that moment, Edmund resolved to embrace his newfound destiny as both an alchemist and a custodian of temporal wisdom. The manuscript's legacy, the elixir's transformative power, and the visions of the continuum had merged into a single, undeniable truth. The pursuit of knowledge was an eternal journey, one that transcended the limits of mortal understanding and beckoned toward the infinite possibilities of a reality unbound by time. In the ensuing months, Edmund devoted himself entirely to deciphering the temporal map he had begun to sketch. Each day, as he measured the elixir's subtle fluctuations and recorded the patterns that emerged in its radiant glow, he felt the gentle pull of forces that defied the natural order. At times, the manuscript's symbols appeared to rearrange themselves, as if communicating in a language that was both mathematical and mystical. On other occasions, the elixir's light revealed fleeting images, visions of a future where towering spires of glass and steel stood alongside verdant landscapes, where machines and miracles coexisted in harmonious splendor. These images, though ephemeral, served as both warning and inspiration, urging him to continue his work in the face of mounting mysteries and unseen adversaries. Though the secret order's presence grew more palpable, so too did the beauty of the revelation that had awakened within him. Edmund's experiments began to attract the attention of curious scholars and traveling sages who arrived at Lavenford, drawn by rumors of a remarkable young alchemist challenging the boundaries of conventional wisdom. In hushed tones and with reverence, they spoke of the manuscript as if it were a relic from a time not yet born, a bridge between the lost knowledge of antiquity and the nascent insights of a modern, yet-to-come era. Each visitor, each quiet inquiry deepened Edmund's conviction that he was a part of something far greater than himself, a cosmic tapestry woven of logic, wonder, and the eternal quest for truth. Even as he labored tirelessly in his secluded workshop, the subtle stirrings of the secret order could be felt in the shifting shadows beyond the town's walls. Mysterious emissaries in dark cloaks and symbols of ancient lore appeared briefly at the edges of his vision, as if silently monitoring his progress. Though their intentions remained shrouded in mystery, their presence affirmed his suspicions that the elixir, and the knowledge it unlocked, held the potential to reshape the world. The stakes, Edmund realized, were far higher than mere personal enlightenment. They were a matter of preserving the delicate equilibrium of time itself. At length, the day came when Edmund believed that the final piece of the puzzle lay within his grasp. Under a sky streaked with the colors of dawn, he prepared one last experiment, a synthesis designed not only to stabilize the elixir's temporal properties, but also to open a window into the continuum. Arranging his instruments in a precise pattern within the workshop's central chamber, he placed the crystalline elixir in a receptacle crafted of both ancient bronze and subtly engineered materials he had fashioned from the rare metals found in nearby mines. With a steady hand, he activated the apparatus, setting in motion a series of reactions that resonated with the rhythm of the universe. Slowly, as if guided by an unseen conductor, the energy from the elixir began to coalesce into a luminous portal, a shimmering veil of light that pulsed with a cadence that transcended the ordinary. In that transcendent moment, as Edmund gazed into the radiant portal, he felt the boundaries of time and space dissolve into a single, all-encompassing unity. He saw visions of eras long past and epochs yet to come, fleeting images of triumph and tragedy, of the rise and fall of civilizations, of the eternal dance of creation and destruction. The experience was both overwhelming and profoundly clarifying, for it revealed to him that the manuscript, the elixir, and the secret order were all part of a vast, interconnected design. A design in which the pursuit of truth and the mastery of time were intertwined destinies. The vision subsided as the portal's glow softened, leaving Edmund with an indelible understanding that his journey was only beginning. The enigmatic forces that he had awakened demanded not only his vigilance, but his active participation in the unfolding tapestry of time. With the manuscript clutched tightly in his hand and the elixir's soft radiance illuminating his determined face, he resolved to embrace his role as both an alchemist and a traveler across the boundaries of time, a guardian of a secret that spanned the ages. Thus, in the quiet solitude of his ancient workshop in Lavenford, amidst the interplay of candlelight and the residual glow of an elixir that defied mortal limitations, Edmund embarked on a new odyssey. The enigma of the manuscript and the forbidden knowledge it contained was not merely a relic of medieval mysticism, but a beacon for those who dared to bridge the realms of science and magic. His journey, fraught with mystery, danger, and sublime revelation, would lead him to confront forces that reached far beyond his own time. Forces that challenged the very notion of reality and beckoned him to step into the boundless continuum of existence. In that timeless moment, as the first rays of a new day filtered through the narrow windows of his workshop and the whispers of ancient secrets mingled with the promise of future wonders, Edmund understood that his destiny was inextricably linked to the eternal quest for knowledge. Every experiment, every vision, every pulse of light emanating from the elixir was a reminder that the boundaries between what was known and what was possible were meant to be transcended. And so, with a heart filled with both trepidation and awe, he stepped forward into an uncertain future. A future where the legacy of the alchemists of old merged with the untapped potential of modern science, and where the secret conspiracy of the guardians of time awaited its next chapter in the endless chronicle of existence. Thus continued the silent odyssey of a young apprentice whose courage and intellect would one day reshape the understanding of reality itself. A journey into the depths of the unknown, where the ancient art of alchemy met the emergent truths of a quantum universe, and where the line between magic and science dissolved into a single, luminous vision of infinite possibility. The dawn of the Shogun. In a realm where ancient honor and futuristic innovation converged, the world of feudal Japan had evolved into a landscape both timeless and otherworldly. Under a sky painted in hues of deep indigo and neon, vast cities rose beside tranquil temples, and ancient castles were interlaced with luminous circuits and advanced machinery. This was Neo-Kyoto, a land where tradition clung to the soul of its people while technology redefined every facet of existence. Here, the samurai warriors, guardians of an eternal code, were no longer mere masters of the blade. They had been reborn as cybernetic warriors, their flesh augmented by implants and their armor forged from an alloy that blended the artistry of old with the precision of modern science. Amid the bustling streets and serene shrines of Neo-Kyoto roamed a lone warrior, a renegade whose life bore the scars of both betrayal and revelation. Takashi Mori, once a loyal retainer of a great clan, had chosen the path of a ronin, a solitary figure whose very presence embodied a defiant blend of ancient dignity and cutting-edge prowess. His eyes, enhanced with cybernetic implants that glowed with a soft, cerulean light, revealed a mind both analytical and haunted by the specters of his past. His limbs, part flesh and part precision-engineered metal, moved with the grace of a dancer and the lethal efficiency of a machine. At his side hung a katana that defied simple description. Its hilt was wrapped in traditional silk, yet its blade shimmered with an inner energy, a fusion of forged steel and plasma-infused circuitry. For many years, Takashi had wandered the blood-stained roads and neon-lit alleys of his fractured homeland, a silent observer of the shifting power among rival clans. The land was divided among the Crimson Dragon clan, whose warriors were as fierce as they were technologically enhanced, and the Silver Moon clan, known for their stealth and the ethereal glow of their cybernetic enhancements. Yet amidst this clashing of titanic forces, a secret as old as the shogunate itself lay hidden. a secret that had the power to unite the bitterly divided or to plunge the realm into untold chaos. The secret resided within an ancient relic, whispered of in hushed tones and cloaked in mystery by a clandestine society known only as the Celestial Order. According to legend, this relic, aptly named the Chrono Shard, had been entrusted to the first shogun by the gods themselves. It was said to contain the wisdom of ages, a luminous core that merged the ethereal spirit of tradition with the unbounded potential of technology. The Order, whose emblem was a rising sun intertwined with digital circuits, had guarded the relic through countless generations, ensuring that its power was neither exploited nor squandered. Now, however, as the ambitions of rival clans escalated and the boundaries between honor and progress blurred, the Chrono Shard had emerged as the fulcrum upon which the fate of Neo-Kyoto would pivot. Takashi's fate became inextricably entwined with this ancient secret on a misty evening in early spring. Wandering along a narrow, rain-slicked lane near the old Kurigane Monastery, a once hallowed sanctuary now partly reclaimed by nature and partly retrofitted with neon signage, he discovered a hidden passage behind an overgrown wall. There, nestled in the heart of a crumbling temple that still echoed with the chants of long-departed priests, lay a sealed chamber. Within that chamber, illuminated by the pale glow of bioluminescent moss and the flickering light of an errant neon sign outside, was a small, ornate chest fashioned of lacquered wood and engraved with symbols reminiscent of both ancient calligraphy and digital hieroglyphs. His instincts, honed by years of combat and introspection, urged him to open it. With deliberate care, Takashi pried the chest open and discovered within a crystalline container housing the Chrono Shard. It pulsed with a serene, almost hypnotic rhythm, as if it were the very heartbeat of the cosmos, an energy that transcended the linear passage of time and resonated with the ancient spirits of his ancestors. The moment his fingers brushed the cool, radiant surface of the relic, a surge of visions overwhelmed him. He saw fleeting images of a future where warring clans laid down their arms and embraced a golden era of unity, and he glimpsed darker possibilities, visions of a realm torn asunder by unbridled ambition and the misuse of transcendent power. In that instant, the relic conveyed to him both its promise and its peril. He understood, with a clarity that left no room for doubt, that he alone was destined to safeguard this secret. The task was monumental. Rival forces, hungry for dominion, would stop at nothing to seize the Chrono Shard and harness its ancient power for their own ends. The days that followed were marked by a profound transformation in Takashi's journey. As word of the relic's reappearance began to circulate among the secretive networks of the Celestial Order, emissaries clad in dark, intricately patterned armor started to appear in the shadows of Neo-Kyoto's labyrinthine streets. Their presence was a silent threat, a reminder that the balance of power in the realm was as delicate as the interplay of light and shadow on a rainy night. These envoys, with their cyber-enhanced senses and unwavering loyalty to the old ways, moved with a purpose that belied the chaos of their surroundings. They were determined to reclaim the Chrono Shard, believing that its power must remain in the hands of those who had devoted their lives to preserving the ancient code. Amid this growing tension, Takashi found himself pursued not only by external adversaries, but also by the ghosts of his own conscience. He had once belonged to a clan that prized honor above all, yet he had renounced their strictures in pursuit of a personal freedom that now carried its own heavy price. Every step he took toward protecting the relic was a step away from the familiar bonds of loyalty and tradition, and the internal struggle between his samurai code and the lure of unchecked power gnawed at him with every heartbeat. Still, the memory of his ancestors, the noble warriors who had sacrificed everything to uphold a vision of unity and honor, propelled him forward, imbuing his every action with a quiet resolve. In the sprawling neon bazaars of the lower districts of Neo-Kyoto, where ancient paper lanterns hung alongside holographic billboards, Takashi encountered signs of the conspiracy that threatened to engulf the realm. He observed clandestine meetings in shadowed tea houses, where figures in modernized kimono exchanged encrypted messages via handheld devices that glowed with digital sigils. The rival clans, each armed with armies of cybernetic warriors and drones that scouted the skies, had begun to mobilize for an all-out conflict that could reshape the very foundations of society. Rumors abounded that a secret faction within the Crimson Dragon clan had allied itself with mercenaries from distant lands, a coalition that sought to exploit the Chrono Shard's latent power to rewrite the history of the shogunate. In contrast, the Silver Moon clan, revered for its mastery of stealth and technology, prepared to enforce a brutal order that promised either unity under their rule or the complete eradication of dissent. Throughout these turbulent times, the relic itself seemed to guide Takashi in mysterious ways. At moments of quiet introspection, when the neon glow outside his modest dwelling in the Edo district merged with the soft light of dawn, the Chrono Shard would emit a gentle pulse, a signal that resonated with an almost musical cadence. In those moments, Takashi experienced visions of a luminous temple hidden high in the misty peaks of Mount Kageyama. This temple, it was whispered, was the original sanctuary of the shogunate's founders, a place where the boundaries between the natural and the supernatural had always been thin. It was here that the celestial order had once gathered to commune with both the divine and the digital, forging a legacy that spanned centuries. The vision of the temple stirred in Takashi a sense of destiny and duty, as if the relic were urging him to seek out this sacred place to unlock its true potential. Emboldened by this inner calling, Takashi embarked on a perilous journey from the labyrinthine urban sprawl of Neo-Kyoto to the rugged, neon-dappled wilderness beyond its walls. The journey was one of both physical endurance and spiritual awakening. He traversed narrow mountain passes shrouded in mist, where ancient stone paths led to forgotten shrines guarded by stone statues that now bore the unmistakable marks of cybernetic augmentation. In these remote reaches, nature and technology merged in surreal harmony. Cherry blossom trees with petals that glowed faintly in the dark, waterfalls that cascaded over smooth, metallic rock, and ancient pagodas whose roofs shimmered with embedded LED lights. Every step brought him closer to the heart of a realm where the past and the future danced in perpetual union. Along the way, Takashi encountered remnants of old battles, rusted relics of swords and shattered armor intermingled with the debris of modern warfare. In the quiet solitude of these ancient battlegrounds, he contemplated the endless cycle of creation and destruction that had defined his world for generations. The honor of the samurai, once celebrated as the guiding principle of a noble society, now struggled to find meaning in a reality where technology had blurred the lines between life and death, tradition and innovation. Yet, in the midst of these contradictions, he also found hope, a hope that the ancient spirit of the shogunate, fused with the breakthroughs of modern science, could still illuminate a path toward unity and enlightenment. As he ascended Mount Kageyama, the air grew thin and cold, and the luminous glow of the relic guided him like a beacon in the enveloping darkness. In the shadow of towering peaks, where the wind carried the faint strains of an ancient koto melody interwoven with the hum of digital frequencies, Takashi finally arrived at the secluded Temple of Legend. The temple, known as the Shrine of the Shogun's Dawn, stood in majestic isolation atop a plateau, its traditional wooden structure reinforced with gleaming metal supports and encircled by a low barrier of energy that pulsed like the heartbeat of the earth. Here, the celestial order had once convened to safeguard the legacy of the shogunate, a legacy that now lay at the crossroads of honor and progress. Within the quiet sanctum of the temple, amidst softly flickering lanterns and the ambient glow of augmented reality overlays that displayed ancient calligraphy in midair, Takashi discovered a series of intricate murals and carvings. These artworks, rendered with painstaking detail in both brush and laser, depicted the history of his people, a tale of valor, sacrifice, and the unyielding search for truth. At the center of one grand mural was a depiction of a great shogun, his form radiant with both traditional regalia and cybernetic enhancements, holding aloft a glowing orb that pulsed with the same rhythm as the chrono shard. It was a vision of unity, of a time when the samurai's code and the potential of advanced technology coexisted in perfect harmony. In that moment, the weight of destiny bore down upon Takashi. The relic, now resonating in sync with the ancient energies of the temple, revealed its final secret. It was not merely a tool of power, but a symbol, a reminder that the true strength of a warrior lay not in the superiority of his technology, but in the purity of his spirit and the honor of his convictions. The chrono shard was a bridge between eras, an artifact crafted by visionary minds who had transcended the limitations of their time to forge a future where tradition and innovation merged into an indivisible whole. But even as the temple exuded serenity and promise, a darker presence loomed on the horizon. Word of the relic's reactivation had spread beyond the hidden corridors of the Celestial Order, stirring ambitions among rival factions determined to seize its power. From the urban heart of Neo-Kyoto, armies of cybernetic warriors began mobilizing, their banners emblazoned with the symbols of the Crimson Dragon and the Silver Moon. The distant rumble of mechanized war machines mingled with the clarion call of ancient battle horns, signaling that the fragile balance of the realm was on the brink of collapse. In the ensuing days, as tensions escalated like the rising tide before a storm, Takashi resolved to stand as the guardian of the ancient secret. With the relic secured at the shrine of the shogun's dawn, he vowed to protect its power from those who would twist it to serve their own ends. The journey from the temple back to the heart of Neo-Kyoto was fraught with peril. Under the cover of darkness, he navigated treacherous mountain passes and desolate valleys, pursued relentlessly by shadowy figures and drone-like scouts whose red, unblinking eyes cut through the gloom. Every footstep was measured, every breath a silent prayer to the gods of old, as he evaded ambushes and deciphered the subtle signs left by the Celestial Order to guide him safely through enemy territory. In the midst of this relentless pursuit, Takashi experienced moments of profound introspection. The neon glare of distant city lights, the whisper of the wind through cybernetically enhanced bamboo groves, and the echo of ancient prayers in the night air all merged into a singular vision of the world's dual nature. He recalled the teachings of his long-departed sensei, who had once said that a true warrior must embrace both the art of war and the poetry of peace, that honor was not a relic of the past but a living force capable of transcending time and technology. It was this fusion of tradition and progress that had compelled him to accept the mantle of protector, even as the forces arrayed against him grew ever more formidable. As the conflict escalated and the rival clans advanced with the precision of mechanized legions, the very fabric of Neo-Kyoto began to tremble under the weight of impending war. Yet within the chaos, a flicker of hope endured. The relic's influence, subtle yet insistent, spread through the minds and hearts of those who remained true to the ancient code. Whispers of a prophesied dawn, a new era in which the samurai would once again rise as guardians of harmony, began to ripple through the populace. In the hidden quarters of rebel outposts and the secluded gardens of venerable shrines, secret meetings were held where the words of honor were exchanged like sacred vows. It was in these moments that Takashi's resolve was bolstered by the realization that the destiny of his people, and indeed of the entire realm, hinged upon the purity of the spirit rather than the might of the machine. In the final, turbulent days before the storm of battle broke upon the land, Takashi made his way back to the central district of Neo-Kyoto. The city, a dazzling blend of ancient pagodas and futuristic towers, shuddered with the anxiety of a populace on the cusp of war. Amid the chaotic interplay of neon advertisements and time-worn stone structures, the samurai, cybernetically enhanced yet steeped in tradition, mobilized in silent formation. Takashi, with the chrono shard secured at his side, moved like a solitary beacon of hope through the throng of warriors preparing for the inevitable clash. In the heart of the city, where the old palace now served as the de facto center of power for the ruling coalition, the conspiracies that had long simmered beneath the surface began to erupt in a cascade of violence and ambition. The rival clans, each fueled by the desire to reshape the future according to their own vision, clashed in a maelstrom of steel, sparks, and digital code. Amid the chaos, the renegade samurai fought with a singular purpose: to protect the relic and thereby preserve the delicate balance between the honor of the past and the promise of the future. Takashi's battles were as much an inner struggle as they were a physical confrontation. Every swing of his energy-imbued katana, every calculated parry of a mechanized blow, was an affirmation of his commitment to a higher ideal. In the midst of swirling conflict, where the boundaries between man and machine blurred into a haze of incandescent light and metallic fury, he felt the presence of his ancestors guiding his hand. The ancient code of Bushido, honor, courage, compassion, and loyalty, resonated deep within him, harmonizing with the pulse of the chrono shard. It was a symphony of tradition and technology, a timeless melody that echoed across the centuries. As the battle reached its crescendo, the fate of Neo-Kyoto hung in the balance. The conspiracies of the rival clans threatened to shatter the fragile unity that had been painstakingly nurtured over generations. Yet, in the heart of this maelstrom, the chrono shard glowed ever brighter, a radiant nexus of hope that defied the darkness. Takashi, standing amid the ruins of a once great courtyard now transformed into a battlefield of swirling neon and shattered stone, raised his katana high. In that moment, he embodied the spirit of the cyber samurai, a living testament to the enduring power of honor in an age of rampant technological marvels. The relic, as if responding to his unwavering resolve, emitted a brilliant cascade of light that enveloped the combatants and hushed the cacophony of war. For a fleeting, transcendent instant, time itself seemed to pause as the chrono shard's luminescence spread like a gentle tide across the battlefield. In that serene interlude, rival warriors, their cybernetic eyes reflecting the divine glow, lowered their weapons and beheld a vision of unity, a future in which the splendor of ancient honor and the promise of modern innovation were not mutually exclusive, but rather two harmonizing strands woven into the tapestry of a new dawn. Though the battle would resume and the struggle for power would continue, the impact of that moment reverberated through the hearts of all who witnessed it. Takashi's defiant stand, bolstered by the relic's mystic energy, became a symbol of hope, a clarion call to all those who believed in a future where the samurai's ancient code would guide the evolution of a society unbound by the limitations of the past. In the aftermath of that day, as the smoke of conflict slowly cleared and Neo-Kyoto began to rebuild its shattered facade, whispers of the cyber samurai's sacrifice and valor spread like the gentle rays of dawn across the land. And so, in a world where ancient tradition and futuristic technology coexisted in a delicate, ever-evolving dance, the legacy of the renegade samurai endured. Takashi Mori's journey, a path marked by solitary battles, inner turmoil, and the unyielding commitment to honor, became etched into the annals of history as a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. The chrono shard, that luminous relic of a bygone era and a beacon for the future, continued to pulse with a quiet promise that even amidst the chaos of ambition and the relentless advance of technology, the soul of a warrior could illuminate the darkest of nights and guide a nation toward a dawn of unity and peace. In the years that followed, as Neo-Kyoto slowly emerged from the tumult of war and rivalries faded into distant memory, The teachings of the Celestial Order and the legend of the Chrono Shard formed the foundation of a new era. The Cyber Samurai, merging the meticulous discipline of the past with the transformative energy of modern science, became the vanguard of a society that embraced both its storied heritage and its boundless future. And though the scars of conflict remained etched in the city's ancient walls and neon-lit corridors, a new understanding took root, a recognition that true strength lay not in the sheer might of technology, but in the harmonious fusion of tradition and progress. Thus, beneath a sky alive with the radiant hues of dawn and the soft glow of futuristic lanterns, the spirit of the shogunate was reborn. The renegade samurai's legacy, carried forth by those who followed the timeless path of honor, echoed across the ages, a silent, enduring reminder that in a world of ever-changing fortunes, the fusion of ancient wisdom and modern innovation could indeed herald the dawn of a new era. Every measured step taken by a cyber samurai, every pulse of the Chrono Shard, and every whisper of the ancient code served as a beacon for the future. In the quiet determination of those who had chosen the path of both tradition and progress, the soul of the shogun lived on, guiding a realm toward unity, peace, and the promise of an everlasting dawn. And so the legend of Cyber Samurai and the dawn of the shogun continued, a timeless odyssey of honor and innovation, a journey through the corridors of history and the limitless expanse of possibility, where the spirit of ancient warriors melded seamlessly with the miracles of tomorrow, forging a destiny as luminous and enduring as the rising sun over Neo-Kyoto. Crocodile Dundee 2.0. In a future not entirely divorced from the past, where the red dust of the Australian outback merged seamlessly with the neon glow of a cybernetic metropolis, a legend was reborn. In the arid expanses beyond modern Sydney, amid rugged terrain that still whispered ancient secrets, emerged a figure whose presence evoked both the raw spirit of the original Crocodile Dundee and the futuristic edge of advanced technology. Jack Dundee, known by many as Dundee 2.0, strode across sun-baked plains with a confidence born of survival and innovation. His weathered face, marked by years beneath the relentless sun, was set in determined lines, and his eyes, enhanced by cybernetic implants that glowed with a quiet cerulean light, missed nothing in a world that had transcended time. Clad in a fusion of traditional bush attire and modern, lightweight, bulletproof materials, he carried not only an ancient Bowie knife passed down through generations, but also an energy-infused katana with a hilt wrapped in genuine kangaroo leather and circuits etched into its gleaming steel. Jack's journey began in the remote township of Uluru Crossing, a place where ancient Aboriginal rock art met sleek digital billboards, where the past and the future coexisted in an uneasy, yet mesmerizing, harmony. It was here, beneath a vast canvas of endless sky streaked with the colors of dawn, that he discovered a relic from a bygone era, a weathered journal bound in cracked leather and emblazoned with symbols that evoked both indigenous lore and futuristic schematics. The journal, unearthed during a routine supply run to a forgotten storeroom in the local heritage center, detailed the exploits of a mysterious time traveler from centuries past. Its cryptic pages described an artifact known only as the temporal claw, a device forged in the crucible of ancient alchemy and refined through modern quantum science. According to the journal's faded ink, this artifact possessed the power to tear through the fabric of time, allowing its bearer to traverse epochs with the ease of a river flowing to the sea. Intrigued and compelled by a sense of destiny that he could not explain, Jack embarked on a quest that would take him far beyond the familiar red sands of his homeland. The journal hinted at hidden caches of lost technology buried deep in the outback, relics of an age when ancient shamans and futuristic engineers had forged an alliance to safeguard the continuity of existence. With the journal clutched tightly in his calloused hand, he set off on a journey that would span rugged desert highways and the gleaming corridors of a cyber-enhanced future. His path led him first to Alice Springs, a place where old-world charm intermingled with the pulse of emerging technologies. Here, the remnants of colonial architecture and sprawling Aboriginal art installations were now interwoven with holographic maps and automated transport systems. In this unlikely crossroads of eras, Jack sought the wisdom of Dr. Miranda Reyes, an eccentric historian and quantum physicist whose research into time anomalies had made her both revered and reviled among academic circles. Dr. Reyes, working out of a converted observatory perched on the outskirts of town, had long suspected that the boundaries of time were more permeable than conventional science would admit. In her cluttered laboratory, where ancient manuscripts lay side by side with quantum processors and augmented reality displays, she listened intently as Jack recounted his discovery. The journal's cryptic passages, replete with allusions to indigenous rituals and futuristic algorithms, resonated with her own theories. Without uttering a word, her eyes betrayed the thrill of possibility as she examined the relic. She hypothesized that the temporal claw was not merely a tool of temporal displacement, but a key to harmonizing the chaotic interplay between ancient mysticism and modern science. A nexus where the primal forces of nature met the precise logic of quantum mechanics. In a silent accord born of mutual fascination, they resolved to locate the temporal claw and uncover its secrets. Together, they retraced the journal's clues, traveling to remote sites scattered across the outback. Their journey took them through the labyrinthine canyons of Kings Canyon, where colossal rock formations bore petroglyphs that shimmered with an ethereal, almost digital quality under the light of augmented reality filters. Here, nature's ancient artistry blended with holographic projections of ancestral stories, creating an environment that felt at once primordial and startlingly modern. In these ancient gorges, they discovered a series of carved markers, symbols that matched those in the journal and hinted at the location of the hidden artifact. The markers, etched into the sandstone by hands long lost to time, now glowed faintly with bioluminescence, as though reactivated by the subtle energies of a nearby quantum field. As Jack and Dr. Reyes followed the trail, the landscape around them began to transform in unexpected ways. The boundary between the tangible and the virtual blurred as relics of old. Rusted mining equipment, weathered stone totems, and ancient fire pits appeared intermingled with futuristic constructs. Drones that patrolled the skies, solar arrays that pulsed with digital signatures, and holographic banners proclaiming scientific breakthroughs alongside traditional ceremonies. The outback had become a living mosaic, a testament to the unyielding persistence of both ancient wisdom and modern innovation. Every step they took echoed with the weight of history and the promise of what lay ahead. Their quest eventually led them to a long-forgotten research facility hidden beneath the sands near a dilapidated airstrip outside Darwin. The facility, built in the mid-21st century as part of an ambitious government project to harness renewable energy from the desert, had been abandoned after a series of inexplicable anomalies occurred. Now, its rusted metal corridors and overgrown control rooms pulsed with a strange, latent energy. In the deepest recesses of the facility, they discovered a secure vault containing an array of experimental devices, anachronistic relics of advanced technology that looked as if they had been plucked from a science fiction epic. Among these devices lay a small, intricately crafted object that immediately caught Dr. Reyes's attention: the temporal claw. The artifact was a curious fusion of forms, a claw-like structure forged from a rare alloy that combined the resilience of ancient meteorite iron with the cutting-edge properties of graphene. Its surface was etched with swirling patterns reminiscent of Aboriginal paintings, yet interlaced with microcircuitry that glowed softly in hues of emerald and sapphire. It radiated an aura that was both mystic and mechanical, a tangible embodiment of the union between the primordial and the futuristic. The discovery of the temporal claw set off a chain reaction of events neither Jack nor Dr. Reyes could have foreseen. As soon as Jack's fingers made contact with its cool, metallic surface, the facility's dormant systems stirred to life. Flickering displays sprang up on ancient control panels, and a low hum resonated through the corridors, a sound that seemed to synchronize with the beating of Jack's heart. In that electrified moment, a vision cascaded into Jack's mind, a vivid tableau of a world far beyond his own. He saw towering, crystalline spires piercing a sky awash with auroras, landscapes that stretched from lush, primordial rainforests to hyperurban vistas where nature and technology danced in symbiotic harmony. There were images of warriors in traditional garb intermingled with figures clad in futuristic armor, their faces obscured by digital masks that glowed with enigmatic symbols. Amid these visions, one figure stood out, a renegade warrior whose eyes burned with fierce determination, a man who straddled the divide between the wild, untamed spirit of the outback and the relentless drive of modern progress. The vision was a call to arms, a summoning that transcended time and space, urging Jack to assume his destiny as the guardian of an ancient secret that could reshape the fate of rival clans and the very fabric of society. Over the following days, the activation of the temporal claw proved to be both a blessing and a curse. Its influence seeped into every corner of the facility, interfacing with the remnants of advanced systems that had lain dormant for decades. Dr. Reyes worked feverishly to analyze the data streaming from the claw, deciphering patterns that suggested the artifact was capable of generating localized distortions in time. With each test, she discovered that the device could create pockets of temporal fluidity, zones where past, present, and future converged into a singular moment of possibility. Yet, as the experiments advanced, the facility itself seemed to warp, its corridors bending in ways that defied Euclidean geometry, its walls shimmering with digital echoes of events that might have been or might yet be. The phenomenon bordered on madness, a chaotic dance of logic and the inexplicable, but within that chaos lay a profound order, a hidden structure that promised to unlock secrets beyond mortal understanding. Outside the facility, word of the artifact's reactivation spread like wildfire through the undercurrents of Neo-Australia. Rival factions, descendants of ancient warrior clans and modern technocrats alike, began to mobilize in secret. Among them were the Iron Serpents, a militant group whose members adorned themselves with cybernetic implants and tribal tattoos, sworn to uphold a code that blended ancestral honor with ruthless ambition. Their adversaries, the Celestial Koi, a faction known for their mastery of both ancient healing arts and futuristic bioengineering, pledged to protect the balance between nature and technology at any cost. In the tense atmosphere that enveloped the region, the temporal claw emerged as the ultimate prize, a symbol of power that could unite the disparate forces of tradition and modernity or unleash chaos upon a fragile, already volatile society. As the conspiracies deepened and shadowy emissaries began to close in from all sides, Jack felt the weight of destiny press upon him. He realized that his life, once defined solely by the rugged simplicity of survival in the outback, had become intertwined with events of cosmic significance. The artifact was not merely an object of wonder, it was a catalyst that would ignite a new era, one in which the timeless spirit of the bush and the boundless potential of modern science would converge in a crucible of conflict and transformation. With the temporal claw secured at his side and the journal's cryptic verses echoing in his mind, Jack resolved to journey back to Neo-Sydney, where a secret summit of clan leaders was said to be gathering. There, in the heart of a city that had grown from the Red Earth and the digital age, He would confront the rival factions and safeguard the ancient secret that held the promise of unity or the threat of annihilation. The journey from the desolate expanses of the outback to the towering spires of Neo-Sydney was a testament to the relentless march of progress and the enduring resilience of tradition. Jack traversed highways that stretched like metallic ribbons through parched landscapes, their surfaces emblazoned with holographic advertisements for the latest cybernetic enhancements and quantum travel modules. Along the way, he encountered pockets of resistance, communities that clung to the old ways amid the relentless tide of modernity. In a small settlement near the border of the Outback Belt, elders recounted ancient legends of warriors who had once bridged the divide between nature and technology, their voices trembling with both reverence and fear. In these quiet moments, Jack found solace in the knowledge that he was not alone in his quest. The spirit of his ancestors, imbued with both the rugged ferocity of the outback and the visionary spark of the future, walked with him every step of the way. By the time Jack reached Neo-Sydney, dusk had descended upon the sprawling megacity, a place where towering skyscrapers of tempered glass and reinforced steel coexisted with crumbling colonial relics and time-worn laneways. The city pulsed with energy. Neon lights blinked in rhythmic synchrony with the hum of underground transit systems, while digital billboards projected images of a utopia yet to be realized. In the heart of this urban labyrinth, beneath an enormous holographic statue of a mythical guardian, whose eyes shone with both ancient wisdom and futuristic brilliance, a clandestine assembly had gathered. The summit, held in a secretive underground chamber known only to a select few, was a melting pot of rival clan emissaries, each draped in a fusion of traditional regalia and cutting-edge cybernetic enhancements, each carrying the hopes and ambitions of factions that had long been at odds. In the silence of that subterranean conclave, the air was charged with tension. Jack, with the temporal claw securely fastened to his belt and the weight of destiny in his gaze, moved silently among the gathered figures. The faces of his adversaries were obscured by intricate masks and augmented reality visors that displayed swirling patterns of data, yet each carried the unmistakable aura of honor and resolve. The stakes were immeasurable. In that hallowed space, the ancient and the futuristic converged in a silent standoff, the outcome of which would determine whether the disparate threads of tradition and innovation would weave together into a tapestry of unity or be torn apart by the forces of ambition and strife. Though no words were exchanged in that charged moment, the unspoken language of purpose and conviction resonated through every heart. Jack's mind raced with the gravity of the situation. He knew that the temporal claw was more than a relic. It was a beacon that could illuminate a future where the wisdom of the past and the power of modern science merged to create something greater than the sum of its parts. In the flickering half-light of the chamber, as augmented reality overlays danced across ancient stone walls, he steeled himself for the trials ahead. The convergence of conflicting ideologies, the collision of time-worn honor with the relentless surge of technological progress, was about to reach its apotheosis. Even as rival factions began to subtly maneuver for control of the relic, Jack resolved to remain steadfast in his mission. The clandestine summit was but a prelude to a greater conflict, an impending struggle that would span both the digital highways of a neon-lit metropolis and the timeless, rugged expanse of the Australian outback. In the silent depths of that underground hall, amid the swirling energies of ancient legacy and futuristic ambition, the seeds of revolution were sown. Jack felt the pulsing rhythm of the temporal claw echo in his veins, a constant reminder that destiny was not a fixed point but a living, shifting force that could be harnessed, if only one possessed the courage to embrace both the logic of science and the wild, unbridled magic of the unknown. Thus began a new chapter in the legend of Crocodile Dundee 2.0, a journey that would take Jack through corridors of time and space, through battles waged not only on physical fields but within the very essence of human spirit. His quest to protect the Chronos Shard and uphold the fragile equilibrium between ancient honor and modern progress would lead him to confront not only external adversaries but the tempest of his own inner demons. The rugged simplicity of his early life in the outback had given way to a destiny of staggering complexity, where each decision carried the weight of both centuries and the promise of an uncertain future. In the days that followed, as Neo Sydney simmered with the undercurrents of conspiracies and the tension of impending conflict, Jack set forth to weave together the disparate threads of his existence. He traversed hidden passages beneath the city, exploring abandoned subways and forgotten data vaults where the digital ghosts of past eras lingered like echoes of lost dreams. In these shadowed corridors, the interplay between flickering fluorescent lights and ancient graffiti that bore symbols of bygone clans provided a backdrop for introspection. Jack contemplated the paradox of his existence, a warrior whose rugged heritage was now inextricably entwined with quantum technology, a man who embodied both the fierce independence of the outback and the relentless drive of an advanced civilization hurtling toward an uncertain future. At a secluded safe house on the fringes of the city, a converted warehouse adorned with murals that celebrated both the mythic heroes of old and futuristic icons, Jack and a small band of loyal allies prepared for what lay ahead. Among them was Elena Price, a former cybersecurity expert turned rogue strategist whose analytical mind and steely resolve rivaled her own. Elena had long predicted that the convergence of time-worn tradition and high technology would one day force society to choose between unity and chaos, and now she stood beside Jack as a quiet yet formidable force of reason. In the silent hours before dawn, as the safe house hummed with the low murmur of encrypted communications and the rhythmic pulse of improvised generators, Jack studied the temporal claw once more. He traced the patterns etched into its surface with calloused fingers, marveling at the delicate balance it embodied, a balance that, if disturbed, could alter the course of history. It was in these moments of solitude that Jack's mind drifted back to the endless horizons of the outback, where the red dust and endless sky had once been the only constants in a turbulent world. That simplicity, he realized, was not lost but transformed. It had evolved into a fierce determination to preserve the core of human identity amid the surging tide of technological change. The spirit of the original Crocodile Dundee, the raw, untamed energy of a man who had faced nature on its own terms, lived on in him, now augmented by an understanding of the intricate dance of quantum fields and digital consciousness. As the safe house prepared to launch a daring mission to secure the allegiance of a pivotal faction within the rival clans, Jack's resolve crystallized. The mission was as much a test of loyalty as it was a battle for the future. The faction in question, known as the Emerald Eagles, had long prided themselves on a code of honor that drew heavily from both ancient warrior traditions and modern principles of collective progress. If Jack could win them to his cause, the balance of power might yet shift away from those who sought to exploit the temporal claw for domination. With Elena's strategic acumen and his own unparalleled knowledge of both the harsh realities of the outback and the dizzying complexity of cybernetic warfare, Jack set out into the neon-lit labyrinth of Neo Sydney's back alleys, his heart a steady drumbeat of purpose and his mind alive with the infinite possibilities of a future yet unwritten. Every step he took resonated with the echoes of history and the promise of tomorrow. The city, a living tapestry of digital dreams and ancient traditions, bore witness to his journey. A journey that defied the linear constraints of time and space, where logic mingled with madness and every heartbeat was a reminder that the soul of a warrior could illuminate even the darkest corridors of destiny. Thus, as the first pale rays of dawn crept over the horizon and the silhouettes of ancient pagodas merged with the shimmering outlines of futuristic spires, Jack Dundee, Crocodile Dundee 2.0, continued his odyssey. With the temporal claw pulsing softly at his side and the weight of an entire civilization's future resting upon his shoulders, he stepped forward into the unfolding tapestry of time, determined to forge a path where tradition and progress, nature and technology, converged in a harmonious blaze of hope. As the day advanced, Neo Sydney stirred with the uneasy calm before an inevitable storm. The clandestine alliances and shifting allegiances simmered beneath the surface of everyday life, a silent prelude to a conflict that threatened to shatter the fragile equilibrium between the old and the new. Jack and his trusted ally Elena traversed the hidden networks of the city. Underpasses lined with ancient murals, abandoned factories repurposed as data vaults, and secret meeting spots concealed behind the facades of modern high-rises. Their journey was one of quiet determination, each step measured against the backdrop of a metropolis that had learned to thrive on contradictions. The timeless spirit of the outback interwoven with the relentless pulse of digital innovation. Their destination was a secure location known only as the Nest, a repurposed cultural center hidden in the labyrinthine suburbs of Neo Sydney, where the Emerald Eagles had gathered to plan their next moves. The Nest was a sanctuary of art and activism, its walls adorned with vibrant murals depicting the heroic figures of indigenous warriors alongside futuristic avatars of digital revolutionaries. Here, the air was thick with the scent of burning sage and the low hum of energy from solar-powered grids, a testament to a community determined to honor the past while embracing the promise of tomorrow. Elena, with her unparalleled insight into the clandestine networks of the city, led Jack through a series of encrypted passageways and hidden doors until they emerged into a spacious atrium where members of the Emerald Eagles awaited. In the silent intensity of that moment, no words were spoken, only shared glances laden with the gravity of impending destiny. Jack presented the temporal claw. The artifact's radiant glow filled the room, its intricate patterns reflecting in the eyes of those who gathered. The assembled warriors, clad in attire that blended traditional war paint with advanced body armor, observed the relic with a reverence that transcended mere material value. It was clear that the Chrono Shard, as the artifact was sometimes known, represented a convergence point of eras, a beacon that could illuminate a path toward unity or, if misused, precipitate unbridled chaos. The silent congregation recognized in Jack a spirit reminiscent of legends past, a man who had emerged from the unforgiving outback with the indomitable will of his ancestors, now tempered by the clarity of modern insight. As the relic pulsed softly in his hand, the assembled eagles, with eyes reflecting both hope and determination, conveyed their tacit commitment to his cause. In that wordless exchange, a new alliance was forged, a promise that the ancient codes of honor and the transformative potential of modern technology would not be sacrificed to the ambitions of those who sought only power. Outside the Nest, the atmosphere in Neo Sydney grew increasingly charged. Digital billboards projected images of rival faction insignia, while covert operatives in sleek, reflective armor patrolled the neon-drenched streets. The Iron Serpents and their allies, driven by an insatiable hunger for control, had begun to mobilize their mechanized legions. Drone swarms flitted over the city like metallic birds, their sensors scanning for any sign of the temporal claw's power. Meanwhile, the celestial koi, enigmatic in their graceful poise and bio-enhanced precision, prepared to enforce a strict order that promised unity through discipline, even if it meant subjugating the free spirit of the people. The stage was set for a confrontation that would ripple across time itself. As twilight deepened into an indigo night punctuated by the scattered glow of holographic advertisements and the distant hum of cybernetic patrols, Jack set forth on his most perilous journey yet. With the temporal claw secured in a specially modified pouch and his trusted katana at his hip, he retraced the ancient paths that had first led him to the relic. His destination was a remote outpost located near the rugged coastline outside Darwin, where whispers of a hidden temporal gateway had reached his ears. A gateway that, if activated, could provide safe passage through the turbulent currents of time that now surged unchecked. The outpost, a modest compound built from corrugated metal and reinforced concrete, lay at the edge of a wild, windswept beach where the roaring southern ocean collided with centuries-old rock formations. Here, nature's raw fury blended with the echoes of ancient rituals performed under open skies. Navigating through labyrinthine corridors and treacherous dunes, Jack approached a weathered stone structure half buried in sand. Its facade, carved with symbols reminiscent of both indigenous art and futuristic circuitry, radiated a quiet energy. As he stepped inside, the interior revealed an enigmatic apparatus, a complex array of gears, levers, and digital interfaces that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly luminescence. It was here that the temporal gateway was said to reside, a portal engineered by forgotten visionaries who had sought to master the flow of time. With deliberate care, Jack activated the device by aligning ancient stone tablets with embedded sensors and calibrating the modern circuits using the data gleaned from the temporal claw. The air shimmered as reality itself appeared to bend, and a luminous vortex slowly materialized in the center of the chamber, a swirling, iridescent portal that beckoned with the promise of passage beyond the confines of linear time. In that moment, Jack felt the full weight of his responsibility, a burden borne not only by a lone warrior but by the countless souls whose destinies were now inextricably linked to the fragile equilibrium of past and future. The portal's glow cast shifting patterns of light and shadow upon his weathered features, illuminating the deep lines of determination etched into his face. He hesitated for only an instant before stepping forward, each movement a graceful blend of ancient martial prowess and the precision of cybernetic augmentation. As he crossed the threshold, the world around him dissolved into a cascade of fragmented images, a kaleidoscope of memories and possibilities where the boundaries between eras lost all meaning. Within the vortex, time became fluid, an endless continuum of moments layered upon one another. Jack experienced flashes of distant epochs, a primordial landscape where dinosaurs roamed beneath a fiery sky, medieval battlements silhouetted against a sunset of unimaginable beauty, and futuristic cities pulsing with the energy of untold innovation. Amid these swirling visions, he sensed the constant presence of the temporal claw, its soft pulse guiding him like a beacon through the chaos. Logic and madness intertwined in this surreal journey. Every step was a calculated risk, a daring leap into the unknown where the familiar laws of physics were rewritten by the will of those who dared to harness time itself. For what felt like an eternity and yet was over in a heartbeat, Jack traversed the temporal currents, emerging finally onto a shoreline bathed in the gentle light of an unfamiliar dawn. The landscape that greeted him was at once alien and intimately familiar. Rugged coast where ancient rock formations rose majestically from windswept sands, and where the glint of futuristic structures could be seen in the distance, their contours softened by the haze of time. The portal had deposited him in a nexus between epochs, a liminal space where the past and future converged in a delicate equilibrium. Here, amidst the sound of crashing waves and the whisper of the wind, Jack felt the pulse of destiny beating in unison with his own heart. As he stood on that timeless shore, the significance of his journey crystallized. The temporal claw, the ancient journal, the alliances forged in Neo-Sydney, and the visions of a united future all converged into a single, unyielding truth. The key to the realm's survival lay in the harmonious integration of ancient honor and modern innovation. The forces arrayed against him were formidable, yet they were but facets of a larger tapestry, a cosmic design in which every warrior, every scientist, and every soul had a role to play in shaping the destiny of their world. In the silent communion of that moment, Jack made his silent vow. With the rugged spirit of the outback and the visionary insight of the digital age surging within him, he would continue his crusade against those who sought to exploit the fragile balance of time. He would protect the legacy of his ancestors and the promise of a future yet to be written, ensuring that the heart of the bush and the pulse of progress would beat as one. The journey ahead would be fraught with peril and uncertainty, but in the convergence of eras and the union of logic and madness, there lay a hope that transcended all boundaries. Thus, as the gentle morning light bathed the timeless coastline and the rhythmic crash of waves provided a steady cadence to his thoughts, Jack Dundee, Crocodile Dundee 2.0, stepped forward into a new chapter of his odyssey. His passage through the temporal gateway had not only reaffirmed his destiny, but had set in motion events that would ripple across centuries. With every step taken on that ancient shore, he embraced the dual legacy of rugged tradition and futuristic innovation, determined to carve a future where the old ways and the new could coexist in harmonious splendor.